When your era is gone, you are gone. You don't get to stick around and keep making this paper like that. I am blessed.
Jarrell C. Jones, aka J Kwon, born March 28, 1986. The thing about success in music is you never know when or if it's gonna happen for you. But while that's true, you know that because you love it or love what it could provide, you're willing to take the chance and put everything you have into your opportunity. Today's feature can attest to just that, seeing as for him, success wasn't likely to come his way as a homeless black teen with no education and a saturated dream to become a famous rapper, from the Midwest at that. A place where you never expected chart-topping hip-hop sound came from back in the early 2000s. The East Coast still had its power then, the West were doing their thing, and the South was having as much to say as ever. But in the Midwest, success was sparing. Nelly had his run beginning in 2000 and put St. Louis specifically on the map. Then Chingy had a short but interesting run in 2003, and in 2004, St. Louis gave birth again in an unlikely rap artist named J Kwon, coming along with his classic hit song Tipsy, that he says is the biggest song to ever come out of St. Louis. Not Right There, or Hot in Here, or Country Grammar, and you know what? I would agree. When you talk about one-hit wonders, Jae Kwon's picture should be on a plaque right next to the definition, with all due respect. One-hit wonders usually comes with a negative connotation, but in the case of Jae Kwon, his one hit did exactly what hit songs are supposed to do, and even today, 20 years later, he's still eating off that one hit and never has to get a quote, real job in his life again because of it. He still performs that song like it's the biggest song on the charts and went diamond yesterday. He can because Tipsy was a complete classic. It had everything to live on forever and even be remembered as a staple of rap music in the last 20 years. It peaked at number 2 in the US and would have been number 1 if not for Usher's biggest song of his career, On Fire, at the same time. It was also very successful in the UK and Australia. It had an infectious beat that somehow managed to never play itself out. It had the perfect nursery rhyme cadence that Kwon doesn't get enough credit for the pocket he found on that beat. And it had the heat coming from the trail Chingy left before Kwon and Nelly before him as a pipeline to St. Louis artists. If you were hot or at least had a hot song anytime from 2001 to 2005 and you were from St. Louis with the eyes on them for the only time I've seen in hip hop, then one hit or not, you could have changed your life as well. And change his life, Jae Kwon did. But here are 3 reasons musically it didn't last very long, and that one hit was all he got. Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. You can also send a super thanks by clicking the button below. Enjoy the video. Jae Kwon was the youngest of 3 boys his mother had, and according to him, many considered him the ugly one and probably least likely to succeed. As the ugly duckling, Kwon would do anything for attention, whether he had to be the loudest in the room or make the funniest joke. He did it because attention was something embedded in him early from the lack of it he would get at home. The biggest example of this is his own mother kicking him out the house at 12 years old for skipping school to make music and sell drugs to buy his own clothes. They were staying in a small town in Illinois at the time, and Kwon, after the ultimatum of stay and follow the house rules or leave at 12, be free and pursue music, decided to head to St. Louis and hopefully find a family member that would let him crash. He was turned down by just about all of them until an uncle let him stay in his Buick. He later met track boys through his father, who had just worked with Nelly on his Air Force One single and was nominated for a Grammy. Together they made Hood Hop and later Tipsy. His music was taken to L.A. Reid, who asked to formally meet Jae Kwon and loved him from that day on, signing him to Arista Records. Tipsy was released later as the final song on the album until it blew up on the radio and Kwon was out of here. Stunt number 1, his label folding. More so, the timing in which they folded. Jae Kwon, when Tipsy released, was one of the biggest hip-hop artists in the game. Ringtones were still popping and sales were through the roof leading up to his album April 6, 2004, which Arista gave him a gold plaque for the day it came out. It peaked at number 7 on the Billboard 200 and number 4 for hip-hop and R&B. Jae Kwon was everywhere promoting the album, and in the midst of it, Arista completely folded, blaming LA Reid for being too extravagant with promoting newer artists without big enough sales in return. Reid was fired and Arista merged with J Records. In the mix of that, somehow Kwon ended up on Jay's sister company Jive Records, who he says didn't do much to promote him as an artist, mainly because they didn't know how to promote an artist like Jae Kwon, who was LA Reid's project. Jermaine Dupri tried to step in and partner with Jive Records in delivering Kwon's second album, but was denied for reasons Kwon can't explain. He would milk Tipsy and Hood Hop for as long as he could, but with him pretty much on the back burner at his new label and no relationship with someone that understood him as an artist, the music came to a halt. His sophomore album didn't release until 2009, 5 years after Tipsy had peaked and years into a new generation gearing up for the sound of rap to completely change. Ringtone rap was all but dead, meaning for Kwon, so was his bread and butter. His second album was a huge flop and did nothing to push Kwon's career forward. Stunt number 2, Hood Hop. The second single to release after his smash Tipsy. For whatever reason, Arista decided to release this song next instead of staying in the more palatable club banger lane with Jae Kwon at least a little longer, and I think it hurt the direction and appeal of Kwon's music. In the early 2000s, gangsta rap / street rap was still a thing in hip-hop, so in no way was it out of place. But what Kwon had working for him was just that. Tipsy wasn't that. In a field where everyone leans to doing the popular, standing out takes being different. Everyone can't make radio hits that cross over in any walk of life like Jae Kwon did with Tipsy. It's been in countless movies, is still played in clubs almost 20 years later, and he still tours off that one song. I'm sure they let him get Hood Hop off every so often, but his lane was to milk the ringtone sound as long as he could and get out. Hood Hop was trying to be too hard in an era where if you wanted harder music, you weren't looking at Jae Kwon anyway. Also, without proper promotion from the label because of everything going on with the business behind the scenes, it was even more difficult to sell Jae Kwon's new street song and image. Stunt number 3, Jae Kwon the rapper. Kwon's story to me is very impressive, how he literally came from nothing and made something of himself as a person beyond the music. I couldn't imagine a 12-year-old being kicked from his house and finding a way to not only survive on his own, but become a big rap star, even if it was just for one hit. Just the mental trauma of always being the black sheep of the family could send a child in a whole different direction. Him becoming a highlight to the family name is respected greatly. But to be honest, Jae Kwon the rapper was never built to have long-term success in rap and always had a window of the ringtone era to take advantage of, which was closed on him by the time his second album released. He did release a third album just months after album 2 in 2009 and a fourth in 2010, but by that point, those were just songs to be honest. One thing I did notice about the first album was that he didn't receive credit as a writer on any of the songs. Did he also have a ghostwriter? Could be another reason why as a rapper, Jae Kwon's shelf life was always on the clock. All in all, like I said, Jae Kwon is a success in life, even if he's considered a one-hit wonder. He's able to live off licensing of that one song and tour off it for who knows how long. With a few things going different, he could have at least had a longer run. But for these reasons, his growth musically was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.